Evolution of man. We've come so far. You know, it's taken 20 billion years to build this Cadillac behind me. Check this out. Such a cool Cadillac. Can you even see it? It's taken 20 billion years to build this camera that can't even pick up a Cadillac in the background here. Isn't that interesting? I was like, can you guys tell me what's going on? What happens that it would take 20 billion years for this Cadillac to be built? For this road to be built with a pavement that is cracking and falling apart, lasts about 4 years before it needs paved again. There's trash over there. It took 20 billion years to create that trash in order to throw it on the ground, to 20 billion years to figure out why to clean up trash and how to. It took 20 billion years to make this velvet suit. 20 billion years. 20 billion years, they say. You guys really believe that? You guys think it took 20 billion years to build this world, this planet? It took 20 billion years for a world where I can drive into cities and parts of that city appear with things in them, semi-developed at least, as if they're like things in my mind sometimes. Now, granted, maybe I'm a little cultured and I'm a little educated, but how does that work, right? See that steel fencing right there? Look how it's bent and falling down. The gradient of the dirt on the hill. Soon that within like 5 years, within 5 to 15 years, it looks like that fence is already being destroyed by something. But within 5 to 15 years, the dirt will wash away and that fence will be back on the ground. From erosion, supposed erosion, I guess we can prove that works in some way. But it took 20 billion years. It took 20 billion years to build that fence. Man, it's come so far, they say. That's a thing I keep hearing. We've come so far. In 20 billion years, we have created lights. And if you see them, I'm not sure if you can see them over there, but lights that flicker because they don't work properly, because it took 20 billion years to create the electricity behind them too, and the rules behind that electricity. So we've also created these lights that don't work. Took 20 billion years to do all that. At first, we were just dinosaurs. I was probably like a velociraptor. And, many of you were stegosauruses and brontosauruses 20 billion years ago. And then, who knows what happened, right? You ate fucking a T-Rex turd, and it morphed your genetics slowly over time, and then that beast ate a Dilophosaurus turd, and it took on that genetics. That's how it all happened, right? Evolution. That's how the world works. That's exactly how it works, right? The master of science telling you how the world works. 20 billion years. 20 billion years to create that fire hydrant over there, which you probably can't see because the 20 billion year old technology used to develop this camera is just not that good. And it took 20 billion years for someone like me to start to look at stuff and be like, wait a minute, that took 20 billion years to develop? Really? Serious? I'm the first person to look at stuff and be like, oh yeah, that took, of course, that took, 20 billion years. We're talking about the first iteration into the universe. There's like 18 trillion universes before that, right? And so technically, infinity years ago, we started working on creating those plastic cups. And it took infinity years to develop these plastic cups. It took infinity years to develop these awesome ass shades, right? It took infinity years. It took infinity years to develop chips in my keys. So my car knows when my keys are near it. I mean, technically that only took a couple years, right? Weird. But maybe no one else can see the clues because either everyone else is a lying motherfucker or no one else has seen him, or maybe it's because if I'm driving into a city and that city is magically unfolding before my eyes as I drive into it, as stuff in my mind comes out into the real world, maybe I'm the only person who can see that, because there'd be a lot of freaking cities in this world if everyone went to a place and it magically unfolded before their eyes. How does that even work? And I know what I'm seeing because I know what I've been seeing. And I know what's going on. To some extent, right? The videos in this world, the music, took 20 billion years for them to create like 5 genres of music. But the hot thing is all this stuff is like catering to me. How does that work? For 20 billion years, it's catered to me, and I don't understand how that works. How everything's talking to me, and I'm in like some specific on my own type thing. Have been since I was about 6 months old. I'm sure the second I learned to crawl, I began to crawl away from everyone else to do my own thing. And so how, like, this specific, very different line, which no one should have any clue as to what I've been doing or who I am, yet people 3,000 miles away, things 3,000 miles away that appear as people, light, illusions, ghosts, robots, they, you know what, how do they respond to me as if they know me and stuff like that? How does that work? See, if there was like, a billion people who all this stuff catered to and worked towards, there'd be like mass confusion and collision with all these things coming together. But there's not. There would be massive advancement, but there's not. And I'm being told I'm not really being told any of that stuff anymore. You know what? Those are very short-lived things where people are trying to tell me, oh, everyone else is involved. I just don't... My bullshit detector goes off when I see a bunch of bullshit. And I mean, it's been boring on a large extent, I guess, since I was 6, maybe. It's been boring. I felt like, maybe I'm the only one in this world. And then after interacting with so many people of the opposite sex, I realized, like, I'm definitely the only one in this world on that side of the spectrum. You know, when it comes to including that side of the spectrum. And so, I guess I got to the point probably when I was like 6 or 8 or, I don't know, 14, where I just stopped looking for anyone like me. And I was just like, hey, this person talks to me, so they'll be my companion for a few days or months or years, or until I can no longer take it anymore. Until I can no longer act that role in the movie anymore. But this is impossible for all these things to exist and them have the ability to create the world as much as I have, and it be where it is. It's physically impossible. I know you might include some of these science cult, Christian, satanic, atheist freaks. I mean, it's all the same cult, isn't it? Christians and Satanists and scientists. They're all just spewing the same bullshit over and over. I mean, it's just like painting a different coat on a dog. You hear the dog bark. You know, if the dog was any little, the dog bark would be smaller because the echo of the bark in the dog would come out, differently. This is what science cult tells us anyways. These are the rules we've established according to science cult. But how does that work? 99% of the world is the same exact people. We just paint them blue instead of green. And that makes them different. We call them atheists instead of Satanists. Or we call them Satanists instead of Christians. And that makes them different people. We call it science time instead of Christmas. We call it atheist day instead of Christmas. We call it Yule instead of Christmas, and that makes it different. It's different because you said so, right? And what you say must be true because you said it's true, right? Because someone said something's true, it must be true. Just makes sense to me, right? I mean, look, the dirt is yellow. See what I'm saying? Now it's yellow. That's how the world works, ain't it? Now I'm talking about how the world really works. I'm talking about using your eyes and your brain. Stop listening to this group, to Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. Stop listening to Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, no doubt. No doubt Albert Einstein and Jeffrey Epstein used to hang out together. I mean, and in you guys' world, we can just make up whatever we want, right? But in reality, like, there's a deeper connection. There's a serious connection between Albert Einstein and Jeffrey Epstein. These are the kings of the people in this world. Jeffrey Epstein runs the United States. Jeffrey Epstein runs the globe. And so does Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein runs the minds of the globe. And Jeffrey Epstein runs the governments of the globe. And there used to be information. Maybe other people pointed out who the gatekeepers are to this world to me. even they fell back in line worshiping Epstein and Trumpstein and all that. But tell me, like, it took 20 billion years to build that fence, to build that light, to build that plastic cup over there. It took 20 billion years for the great minds of this world, for 70 sextuplet great minds that pass through this world to develop a plastic cup, a camera that can barely work right. Where's the logic in that? Does anyone else think with logic? Is that not allowed? My interaction with AI in this world is that the AI is human as it can be. And if we accidentally put a computer inside the AI I've interacted with, it would be highly intelligent. It could tell you things about this world that no one else would be able to tell you for another 200 trillion years, right? So how is that? We have no logic cores operating within this world. You know? How is that? How does that work? It's a 20 billion year old world, 20 trillion, whatever. Make up whatever number you want it. Whatever sounds good, right? Petrodactyls flying around, brontosauruses and stegosauruses. There's only like 50 dinosaurs on Earth. You guys realize that? The size of dinosaurs, there's only like 50 of them on Earth because they're so large, there wasn't room for any more, right? They forgot to tell you that story in elementary, didn't they? Think about it. Can people think? I've been trying to get people to think for a long time, and I didn't see it start happening. I started 10 years ago. I didn't see it happen. Maybe I've seen one or two people, but maybe those people were always just built with the mindset to be a little more who they were. And maybe their past didn't change very much. But I've definitely watched people who were unable to think. They were unable to move from their mindset. I've watched some people for 40 years who said 7 lines as if they were an actor on a stage, and they only read 7 lines of their script. And 40 years later, somehow even an actor on a stage would learn more than 7 lines if they sat around for 40 years after they did their first play. How does that work? How do I contact someone from 40 years ago and it's still like the 7 lines and I'm questioning them, and then it's just like they have these stops. They're unable to think. They're unable to communicate or relay outside. It's like a toaster. Like, no matter how many times you hit that button to depress the toast into the toaster, the button does not make Obi-Wan Kenobi and a holographic display unit appear, right? The button makes the toast go down and then lock into position 40 years later. Now tell me, if I've studied one human, or a handful of them in this matter, what proof do other people offer that they, themselves, have advanced beyond the toaster models of 1980? That's what I want to know. Undeniably, that was a toaster. That was some sort of mirage, because let's face it, it stuff's appearing before my eyes. It's probably a technology realm, because it's bullshit. It feels like a dream world, like there'd be some awesome shit going on right now. Some dinosaurs, some T-Rexes, some brontosauruses stepping around, stegosauruses stomping around. Magic, fire, ice, wind. What? No one, and then the only people who are allowed to talk about this are more of the science cult, more of the atheists, more of the Satanists. More the Abrahamic, same people, isn't it? It's all the same people. And how is that? How do the humans exist for 20 billion years and they can't even see that they have fucking one group who fucking is their master? How does that work? That makes no sense to me. I mean, I guess they put it out there on the internet, which was magically invented in year 19,999,998. And then they took it away in year 19,999,999. And now we're entering this technological world of enslavement. And you know what? Why would they have to erase who they are? Why would Jeffrey Epstein and Einstein, Donald Trump, Antifa, the neo-Nazis, the owners of the media and the banks? Hell, these people own like pretty much most of the stores I'm going into these days. Explain that. How do the humans own nothing and do nothing? How is that? You guys can't figure that out? Like, I guess really it did take a bit of information that they've erased. I mean, why did they erase that information too? Like, what's that going to lead to? So, I've injected myself into some virtual world here, and it's boring as fuck. It's consisted of 39 years pretty much of being forced to be trained to be a military leader, a supreme warrior, and something much more than that, which is unfolding these days. And so you have this group of fucking pedophile, neo-Nazi fucking communists who have enslaved the planet and erased every link to them there is. And then they bring in these fake diseases and stuff, and they collapse the society and shut it down in all sorts of stupid ways too. What do you guys, I mean, you guys, that's a joke word these days, but I mean, half my viewers, like, we've already discussed this. You guys are these people. You guys are the Einsteins and the Satanists and the Epsteins. Many of you are, aren't you? Many of you are Epstein's children. You fucking sick ass fucking child butt rapers. Erase from the Matrix the past lessons of you being of us raping the children's assholes. Interesting how that works out. But we can just erase everything in the Matrix, the Mandela effect. We just change it all completely, right? Just like I can just fucking summon fire right now, and I can't, right? The only thing I've ever seen me do in this world is communicate with the sun, and the sun's showing me a six-sided star. It's showing me Jeffrey Epstein's little fucking mark that the sun's up there acting like Adolf Hitler, fucking displaying frickin' six-pointed stars for me and stuff. But I can't summon fire on this earth. But what I can tell you is Jeffrey Epstein's home base, USA, and Israel have been erasing their information off this matrix, this world. And they've been blaming China for their virus, when the most realistic outcome is coronavirus was Israel. But we're not going to talk about that because this nation isn't a Caucasian nation, right? No one I'm seeing in this nation, it's very rare I meet some white people. But we got to blame white people for everything USA does. Because that's not mine, I don't know. Doesn't look like it. I wonder why I even have to pick trash up in a technological based world. You can't just heal it all. You can't just magically erase all the trash in the environment and the computer. Why is that? Why does USA love Jeffrey Epstein so much that they would create years of propaganda and then go along with it? And then like gerbil brains, they would just magically erase Epstein and start talking about some fake virus. And they wouldn't even care about the fake virus either. And they would use another story to erase the fake virus and start talking about Black Lives Matter instead of the fake virus. So what's the point? It makes me think back on Mario. When you play Mario Brothers, you're Mario and you're inserted into a world of evil. And could you imagine what's going on in the Goomba's head and the Koopa's head as Mario stomps on the Goomba's head and stomps on the Koopa's head? The Goomba is sitting there like it's raping Goomba's Epstein's child. It's like raping a child in its butt. And Mario stomps on its head. And the Goomba's like, "You're evil Satan, Mario." And then Mario's just like, "Who cares? It's me, Mario." So, if we see this world for what it is, a technological illusion, and we look at the other technological illusions within this world, video games, we can see the patterns of all those games in this world. And that's one pattern we're not allowed to talk about, is that sometimes there is, pretty much all the time, in a video game, you're inserted into a world where just like the point is to conquer it. And then you leave and quit playing the game and you move on to the next one. It's kind of weird because I get told that I have to make decisions and this is getting boring just sitting around doing nothing in this world. And it's like, who the hell are you to even fucking talk to me like I'm God and like I'm in control of this world? And second of all, who the hell are you to fucking act like I'm God and it's my decision what happens next in this world and not fucking inform me I'm God at some fucking earlier date in this fucking insertion into the Matrix? That's what I want to know. That's my question.